Alright, I get it. You guys want to see a High on Life video. Fine! Sorry for getting angry. I'll use my inside voice from now on. High on Life came out like a year or so ago now, and it's probably best known for being created by the dude who made Rick and Morty. Also, maybe sort of gained or lost popularity because he did some interesting things in the eyes of the law. But anyways, the Platinum has 33 trophies, and it isn't that long. But a few trophies are literally RNG based, and they even said it is in the game, which is kind of hilarious.
You got lucky. This is RNG based.
Also, this was my final Platinum of the year, leading me to a total of 74 Platinum trophies in 2023. High on Life begins with you actually playing some other random video game, and your only objective is to kill all of the enemies running at you. This is because they are your ex-wife's boyfriend, apparently. Yes, this is a great start to the logic of this game, and I love it. But eventually, your dumb sister barges into your room, and we realize that it was indeed us playing a video game inside of a video game. Even the Lord doesn't know what's happening right now. Also, our sister somehow makes the average high school blonde girl even look more basic than usual. I didn't even know that was possible. But you left your house with her, and then an alien invasion just begins out of the blue. We also picked up this gun which puked on our face, but that was how they infect us with these translation mechanisms, letting the gun speak to us. Now that's big brain. This gun is the guide essentially for the game, and you also get a lot of others later. But before that, we are told to just run around and kill as many aliens as we can, while also stealing some teleporters so we can escape before being exiled to the afterlife. So we just popped that teleporter right in our kitchen and then went far, far away, ending up in some alien city that we play at in the entire game. The next objective is to also search for some famous bounty hunter who can supposedly help us. And by the looks of the man, he must have fallen off. Happens to the best of us. Anyways, he gives us his old bounty hunting suit in exchange for us letting him live in our home rent-free. What a great deal, honestly. But the suit was also infected with a ton of viruses. Thankfully, they have MILFs in space, so this universe isn't a total lost cause. This entire game's premise is about bounty hunting, if you couldn't tell by now. And the bounties are all people from the G3, which is the alien terrorist group that took over Earth just now. Okay, enough lore. I can tell you don't care. First bounty is some bitch named Ninetorg with a Michael Jackson looking ass facial structure. And to get to her, or it, I have no idea what's down there, you gotta go through the slums. And to get into the slums, you get interrogated on which of these near identical things are more attractive. Now, I tried explaining to them that they both look like a lesser version of a frog, but they made me pick and I chose blue. And then I was allowed into the slums through his door. While traversing this new area coming into my brain, a small child jumped in front of me and made fun of me for not having any bitches. So I shot him in the face, which is the most normal reaction, and got a trophy. My gun, however, didn't approve though. Also, we ran into his mom a few feet away, and she said the kid was like 70 but just never hit puberty, so we honestly put him out of his misery. The slums then featured a lot of swell fighting with ants, which was a little gross. But after doing some parkour, we ended up getting this very murderous knife, which lives and breathes death. And it's one of the funniest characters in the game, in my opinion. We then made our way to the objective for the day, and we see Ninetorg about to execute some other Torg because they are all like clones or something. There was also a cool boss intro for her. So cool, in fact, that I ended up juggling the fat bitch 5 times with a gun's special power, and they gave me a trophy. I then got excited and just began to sweat my balls off in this boss fight until winning it because I'm just a god like that. The knife then really wanted to cut into the boss lady, and I'm starting to think it brings it pleasure. Which it probably does, and I would never cock block the homie. 5 was then just hanging out with us, and I felt bad because she must be tired of hanging around all the time, which is why I mercilessly executed her. We then had to return back to Gene, who is the old bounty hunter guy, and did a missable trophy where you have to stab him since he has beef with the knife apparently. I also began the longest missable trophy where you make this kid who has a butthole for a face a national music star. And the first step is to give him a drum to drum on, because he's a musical prodigy apparently. Anyways, the next bounty is some guy named Douglas, and he is on some planet that has this really annoying wasteland on it, which you basically just run through to get to the entrance to some super cool city. Before entering the city though, you have to commit mass genocide on a load of enemies. This is seriously the biggest load I've ever seen. You then also fight the same people in the city as well, but you do get a break from fighting when you try to blend in with them and even go through the training program to become a part of the G3 army. Essentially, we gave up with the program after a while since it was so dumb, and we also were helping this little squid guy get to Douglas as well, which that same little squid also turned out just to be Douglas as a matter of fact. I feel betrayed, almost as much as you not dropping a like and subscribe right now. So yeah, we obviously had a boss fight with Douglas next, and it wasn't that hard, but it was more difficult than the first one. I also think the dump floor is the only thing that even hit me because it just electrocutes your pubic hair off like every 4 seconds. But when he was defeated, we got a trophy. We then picked up his gun creature also, and its name was Sweezy, which gave us a trophy in addition to a brand new gun to use. They then give you an immediate intro into the gun's new power, which can freeze time for a few seconds on objects. I also very embarrassingly failed at this over and over, but we don't talk about it. Next bounty is in the jungle this time, and the dude's name is Krubus, which sounds made up, I'm not gonna lie. This jungle is also inhabited by these furry people who look innocent but also extremely weird. It's hard to explain the feeling I get. Something is just, it's just not right with them. Which is why when I got a chance to boss them around, I made them beat each other into a pulp, which gave me a trophy. You also get introduced into warp discs, which is what you use to literally spawn in the next boss fight with Krubus. And before that, he makes you fall to your death. The Krubus boss fight, however, wasn't very hard either, especially since this new gun, you can do damage, and it also leaves shards in the enemy, which when punched blow up and do even more damage. Basically, I'm trying to say Krubus got abused by me in this fight, and I almost feel bad. We also got another gun, and this time it is a shotgun gun, which gave us a trophy, obviously. After that, I also pretended in my mind that I was playing Doom now, I'm not gonna lie. The next trophy gotten is from using the jetpack in this game, which you get after waking up from a big ol' nappy nap. This jetpack is also very helpful, yet kind of annoying because it has a height limit, which is lame as hell. A while later on, we were trying to get info on the next bounty guy, but got kicked out of the store he owns. This was fine though, because right next to the entrance was a poor man who didn't stick the landing, and we just straight up yoinked his magnetic boots off of his feet, which gave us another trophy. These same boots are also another essential thing you need in this game for collectibles and just general progression. It's also just fun to use, honestly. Next bounty was a really funny one, but also really dumb at the same time. You had to do a ton of detective work and search around the scientist lab to try and figure out what's really going on here. And once you find all the clues, this little purple AI guy comes to a conclusion and says he knew where the dude was from the beginning, meaning that we did all that for nothing. So we get this next boss guy's intro, and Drina, he literally slipped and died, which was the entire fight. God, this game is amazing. However, that wasn't really the entire fight, because in order to leave the facility, you get thrown into some room which has waves upon waves of enemies, and it actually lasted a very long time. I also think you got to fight every single type of enemy during this, which was kind of cool. On the way out though, we got interrupted by the final boss leader man of the G3, and even in good lighting, I don't even think this dude would be able to pull. I honestly think that might be the ugliest creature I've ever seen, aside from your mother, of course. I then had an option to start my next bounty or explore freely, and I chose to try and get this missable trophy I've been after in regards to that butt kid face from earlier. You have to watch an ad for him on TV, but it's totally random as to when it will show up. And I must have been getting horrible RNG because the thing would not for the life of me show up. And I tried to get it for 20 minutes with no success. So I decided to call it for now and just continue the story. While heading to the next bounty, I also did some combat trophy thing where you shoot the eye right off of the head of these yellow enemies, which was pretty funny because they run around for a few seconds after before dying. I think I'm evil. I also found the next gun before fighting the bounty, and it's one of my favorites. The thing's name is Creature, and it can shoot out mini versions of himself to fight for you. Honestly, the gun is super overpowered, and this boss fight had like 3 at once, which was supposed to be hard, but it might have been the easiest thing I've done. Like, this gun is literally insane. So we got that trophy super easy, as you can see. I then returned back to the crib and literally walked outside to smell the air, but noticed that the dumbass kid was on TV. And I'm not gonna lie, I got a little aroused when the trophy popped because I thought it would take forever to get it. Next mission had us take a break from bounty hunting, and me and the gun had a dinner at Applebee's, as he told me all of his darkest confessions. Kind of weird, this is usually a 3rd or 4th date topic, but by all means, it was interesting. Even more interesting, however, is our sister's alien boyfriend, who she is obsessed with. And I got a trophy for paying the Applebee's bill, which was definitely needed. We then had the second to last bounty to do now, and this guy's name is Nipulon, as you can see. Anyways, this boss fight was by far the most annoying one, and actually somewhat difficult. Mostly just because I was being dumb and had no clue what to do to kill him for the longest time. And the trip he sends you on is quite literally unmatched. Like, I don't even know what the hell happened in there, but it was wild. We also got given a trophy for no reason other than it making us look like we went to an alien strip club on the trophy list. Amazing. The fight then basically ends once you use all 4 guns at once in your mind, and awake to find Nipulon all beat up, and he is dead. We also got a trophy back at the crib for fixing up Let's Do It, the best voice acting of all time. Let's do it! So it's finally the time now to do the final mission of the game and return back to Earth. And good old home planet is a tad bit destroyed, I won't lie, yet San Francisco is still in worse shape, to be honest. But the Let's Do It gun was definitely overpowered and made normal enemies just disintegrate like we were Thanos with the snapping. I also got a trophy at some point during the mass executions going on. The final boss fight was also pretty easy just because of the Let's Do It gun, which is dumb overpowered. But at one point, Jack Black showed up. Sadly, he won't be making any more films. Anyways, I got a trophy for quote-unquote defeating the boss guy, but we still had to detonate this bomb inside of him, and we were supposed to send Kenny in there, who is the OG gun, and he also volunteered. But to get a very missable trophy, you have to make sure to send someone else. And I chose the only girl gun because of the bro code. But hey, she survived, and now she just looks a little bit like poopy doo-doo. We then received the final story trophy right after. It is now time to go and start the cleanup for this godforsaken game once and for all. I began by doing the easiest and shortest trophies in terms of time to start with. just so I could procrastinate true pain like usual. The first trophy I went for is gotten by placing down a movie theater from a warp disc, which actually has a movie in it that I watched later for a tad bit. I then did a trophy which had you unlock a secret area of the game that also holds some teasers for a possible sequel, and it shows some dark things, but age restriction won't allow that. So yeah, there wasn't actually that many trophies to clean up, and I decided to torture myself by going for the longest grind next. You have to open every single Luglocks box, which are just item boxes scattered around each area of the game. Shout out to this guide for helping me, by the way, because this game sadly doesn't have a map system and it can get confusing real quick. I then spawned in and did every single warp disc activity, and my favorite one was indeed the last one I needed to do. You literally get to trample over an entire civilization and execute the town's mayor. What a ride, honestly. I also collected all the trading cards in the game, which is pretty easy since you get 90% of them from the boxes we collected earlier. I then began the hunt for the final true RNG trophy of the game. You need to watch the TV in your house over and over until a specific ad shows up with a robot in it. It's very distinguishable, so you can't really not see it, but it also can take you hours to get if you're extremely unlucky. However, I got it within like 2 minutes and was utterly amazed at my luck. Usually it isn't this good, so I went and asked out Megan Fox on a date. She still hasn't responded, so I must have used up all my luck. It's kind of sad.
Are you crying, bro?
No, bro.
And yeah, the ad is 8 minutes long, so I just left my game running and took a fat poop while I was getting the trophy for me. I'm a genius. So now the final trophy I have is for doing every single bounty in the game. These are basically just combat and exploration challenges. I did most of them already, but had to restart checkpoint for about an hour at certain points to farm some kills on enemies that rarely spawn. Overall, this trophy was just kind of dumb and not really needed, so much so that I didn't even know that the challenges were a thing until looking up what you had to do for the damn trophy. But I did get it eventually, and then the platinum right after. Also, here's the platinum in my library. I know some of you have been asking to see it like this, so here you go. Anyways, High on Life is one of the most absurd games I've ever played, and I know I didn't add in too many bits from such absurdness, but it quite frankly isn't even allowed on YouTube. Like at one point I turned around to look at the TV in the house and there was just a porn video going. Like that's not even a joke. Yeah, this game is special. Needs. Have a good 2024 everyone. I wish you guys the best, and I'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching.